Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Culture Test. My name is Braeden, and alongside me, as always, is Trey. Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Smith. So, how's that for a movie title nickname this week?
All right, that's fine.
So,
who's that?
That's today, as we are recording this, is actually Friday the 13th. By the time he's watching this, it's gonna be Monday the 16th.
Sure.
Probably. I can't math or verb. Anyways, but. Figured we'd celebrate with a little Jason Voorhees goodness. Have you ever actually seen a Friday the 13th movie?
I have actually seen one, and it's when Freddy goes to space. No, not Freddy.
Jason.
Jason goes to space.
So Jason X. So probably
Jason
the
X.
Third, I'd argue third worst. It depends on your taste.
I don't know. I think the fact that somebody has their head entirely frozen in nitrous or whatever that was and then has it slammed and shatters, just because I've seen somebody playing with liquid nitrogen and you put in like a racquetball and then you throw it at the ground and it shatters, and like to do that to somebody's head, I don't know. It was...
Yeah, you know, I take that back because as ridiculous as the concept was, the kills were awesome.
Yeah.
My favorite's either that or actually the sleeping bag kill where he has the one girl in the sleeping bag and kills the other girl in the other sleeping bag by just hitting her repeatedly with it.
Yeah, I didn't see that part. But...
So that... I like the movies. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're a little ridiculous.
Yeah. They're very ridiculous.
Very, very ridiculous. But you know what else is ridiculous? This podcast.
Yeah.
I was half expecting you to interrupt me because every time you think I'm about to segue, you seem to interrupt me. That's happened in the past couple of weeks.
Right.
So I was expecting.
No,
you
I'm here to do things to your mind.
So you're penetrating my mind in the same way that Freddy Krueger would.
Yes.
So we're just keeping the horror train going, which there's not a movie called Horror Train, but there's one called Terror Train, I believe. Which is a completely different conversation for another day. Because that's what we do here. We talk about absolutely nothing.
Yep. Kind of like Seinfeld.
Except people actually would watch Seinfeld. But you're here, and we appreciate you viewing this.
Absolutely. We made 1 penny.
We have made 1 penny off of ad revenue, so
1 penny.
Yay, thank you for your patronage.
So Braeden, what did you have going on this past week? What have you been up to?
Well, Trey, I'll tell you. This week, if you're in the Atlanta area, you may have been aware of this. It was actually aTVfest, which is a big television festival with a lot of panels and workshops and master classes and screenings from different people involved in the television industry. People like Terrence Howard, Mindy Kaling were in town making special appearances. Oscar winner Timothy Hutton was actually in town, received an Icon Award from SCAD.
Okay.
So if you don't know, I currently am a grad student at the Savannah College of Art and Design Atlanta campus. So
I am not.
So I got to go to all these things for free, which is great.
Lucky.
Very fun experience. Got to learn a few things. Get to meet some industry people. Got to see some really cool stuff that N+1 Motion Studios are doing with these virtual sets. So now it's gotten me questioning anything I see on TV with all these TV broadcasts, if they're actually real or not.
Virtual or not.
So
yeah, they've been doing that for a while now, actually, and if you go into an actual studio where they're doing a lot of these filmings, you'll see there isn't anything in the background. It's just all green screen.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks great on camera.
Oh, yeah. I was really, really impressed by some of it because now it's gotten to the point where you can put these programs and these encodings into the equipment, not just the cameras, but the jibs, the dollies, everything. Yeah. And so a good example that they showed us was they did this virtual set for the tennis channel for the U.S. Open. And so you had this camera crane shot coming down. Well, if you just had a camera with a green screen, that set's not going to move. It's going to be stationary. But because of the encoding, everything moves in a natural way to look like it's an actual physical set. And it looks very good. A lot of times with these virtual sets, it looks very cartoonish. Yeah. And some of them are that way on purpose, but a lot of them, like the tennis channel one in particular, looked very good.
I think they do that for the Olympics now a lot too. Mm-hmm. And another one that actually does not do it, and this is only because I've seen the actual set because it's kind of a shtick that they have, is for a couple of the shows on the Fox News channel, they have, you know, the studio's on the ground floor and you could actually see people in the window in the back, and the set is right there. And I think that's cool. It's a different, you know, it's more old school in the way of doing it, but it works. But I think they also have different sets that are probably more virtual.
And they're doing something really cool with the UFC network, which I didn't know was a thing because apparently it's not really here, but it's hugely popular in South America. So what they do is they have this very tiny studio space in Los Angeles, and they do all this live stuff there. And with a virtual set, it looks like an arena, and you can see what's going on in the octagon real time at the event behind them. So it's like that live space, but it's all virtual because they bring in the composite video. And part of the demonstration, I got to stand on a green screen set, and they put me on the UFC set in real time.
That's pretty cool.
So now if they had the actual encoded everything, then they could do all of the camera sweeps and everything. But here, because it was just really quick, like we're just going to use your camera real quick, it was still really impressive because they have these programs and algorithms and everything where it basically creates a virtual camera that can move anywhere in the set.
That's pretty cool.
And they can even create a 3D model from the flat 2D image of you. I mean, it's rough. It's very rough.
Right.
But it adds just enough depth. I mean, it blew my mind. And I always thought though that it was a television broadcast thing, and that is the use of it for the most part right now. But some of the stuff they're talking about is expanding storytelling abilities in feature films, and that's why stuff like Oz and Avatar, one of the uses for it was basically they're filming the live actors, and they can already see what the animation is going to look like with them in place. So you already have a rough idea with the CG what it's going to look like.
I bet they did that with the new Hobbit movies as well. They had to.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the technology is really impressive, and I think personally it has more use for the virtual set concept. I think it has more use in TV broadcasting. But that being said, I think the technology that's there is
the
going
tracking
to,
and all the
it's impressive. And the quality of the systems they have, they were telling us that they used their equipment, I think it was MSNBC for all the election coverage in 2012, I think. I'm
sorry, I got political.
But they use their equipment to just to measure all the data because they do a lot of the data stuff for live scores, all that stuff. They, instead of turning it off when they when they stopped using it, they let it run for like 3 or 4 months, and it didn't have any problems.
Wow.
It ran. I mean, so the technology there is really impressive.
So it's a pretty solid algorithm. It's not very. It's not broken. It's a solid piece.
And now what I got to see, they're about to release a brand new version of it that's going to have these new features that sound impressive. But the current version I got to see has been altered to make it more user friendly. Now I still didn't understand what was going on because visual effects and that sort of thing are kind of outside my wheelhouse. But they made it a lot simpler because I saw the first version that's just strictly code. This version is a lot of point click drag. I mean, so if you have a basic knowledge of Python, you'll be able to do some pretty neat things. So, because you can bring in 3D objects onto the screen and have the person interact with them. If you bring the layers together, it doesn't just like cause a slice. The objects will actually form around them, so it looks more natural. I mean, it's cool. So hopefully, by the time this goes up, there'll be some pictures because they were taking photos, and maybe I can post some photos from the event. That'd be cool. It just depends if they released them or not.
You had taken some pictures.
I had taken some pictures, so I'll put those up.
Get those up.
So, but yeah, it's really cool, and I can now say that I stood on the UFC Network set while wearing a Doctor Who T-shirt. So, go me.
Yeah. So I spent my whole time, ever since when we finished, we actually filmed a little bit earlier last week, and I went straight up to Athens, and I spent time in the spring air up in Athens this past weekend, and I ate really, really, really good. So that was my highlight of the week so far. Is I've
not seen your fiance, but eating really well.
Yes. Eating really, really
I don't think she watches this, so it's okay.
I think she has watched some of it, but I don't think she watches all of it. So hopefully she doesn't watch this far. Anyways, but yeah, she had me up there for a few days. She works and she's going to school, going to grad school right now and finishing up. But yeah, we went out and spent some time, especially Sunday. Sunday was awesome, and now it's when I got in my car to come over here, it was like 33 degrees. So that's the fluctuations of temperature that go on around here.
Hey, Georgia.
This is Georgia. Anyways, went to a place called Trapeze, which is a gastropub, had the best fish and chips I think I've ever had, because it had to have been fresh, had a really, really, really good ginger ale and bourbon drink, which was phenomenal. And in case you missed it, I was posting a lot on my Instagram, and you kind of saw pictures of a lot of that stuff. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you should. 3RD Photography. Yeah. Special plug right there. And then I also went to one of the best restaurants in Atlanta right now this past Tuesday, I guess.
I don't know. I wasn't invited.
Went with my mom to the King and Duke, and that was something special. That's probably my new favorite restaurant, period.
I saw the pictures, and it did look very, very, very good.
It is excellent food. Had a smoked box chicken, I believe is what it was. So Springer Farms free-range chicken, which has a different taste. I know everything tastes like chicken, but this chicken tastes nothing like your normal chicken. It's good stuff. And then we went to Cookout for lunch today.
Yes, we had Cookout for lunch today. So you went from gourmet to Cookout, which
I worked at a barbecue place, so I'm all good with good barbecue or good Cookout.
If you're in the southern area, you might have Cookout. I think it's only like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. They're expanding, but hey, $5 gets you a pretty darn good, old fashioned home cooked hamburger, 2 sides and a drink. You can't beat that.
I had a pork barbecue sandwich with slaw. It was good.
Yeah. So if you have Cookout, and this isn't, we're not being paid by them. We just really like Cookout.
Right.
You probably notice we usually have a lot of cups here because we usually get lunch before we film this. So we like food. Me in particular.
And I do too. It's just that my metabolism is like I'll be hungry in another hour and a half and need more food.
All my fat brethren can send all your hate mail to @ThirdPhotos, and Trey will personally respond to each and every one of them. So, well, that's that.
Right.
This is usually the time where we'd say, all right, coming up next is blah, blah, blah segment, but something happened right before we started filming, and I kind of wish we had already started so you could partake in this event live. Telemarketers suck. Worse, scam artists suck. And
Telemarketing scam artists are the worst.
They're literally the worst. And so some of you may have dealt with this, because I've seen a lot of people all over the country dealing with it, but you have people out of the country calling about we're coming from Windows tech support or something similar to that, saying are you the main user, a problem with your Windows computer? Well, I've probably answered 20 of these phone calls over the past year and a half, both here at other family members' houses. And it's funny because at some of the houses there's no computers or there's only Macs. Yeah. So it's obvious that there's no anything there. And my understanding is what they do is they say, oh, there's a problem, you have to download this program. And you download the program, and it locks you out of your computer. And then it's, this issue has nothing to do with that program, but if you pay for this program, we'll unlock your computer. And they do, after you pay them like $300, $400, $500, something ridiculous. Right. So they kind of prey on the elderly.
And they have like awful. These routers now where they're like pushing them through either like a California area code or some other area code. So it looks like it's coming from the States, but they have some sort of router that's pushing it from overseas. I think this one probably was either Philippines or India.
I actually don't have caller ID, so.
Well, it sounded Philippines or India.
Right. I actually recognize the woman's voice because she's called here before. So because it's been different people, but she's called here once or twice.
Right.
So as soon as I heard it, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I generally don't care about things. So I have that kind of attitude. So I just put on my best old person voice, old lady voice. Actually, I guess
it didn't sound very old lady-ish, but
well, it was very high pitched.
That sounded like your grandmother.
Yeah, see, exactly. So, but anyways, and she's like, "There's a problem with your windows." Oh no, my windows are closed. It's very cold outside. I was like, no, you'll have to speak up, dear.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. So which became, your windows are broken. No, they're fine. They're closed. It's very cold out. And this went on for a couple minutes. For a couple of minutes.
And said, oh, is that the one with the apple on it? Yes, it's the one with the apple.
Has the screen and the key.
Doesn't make any sense.
I was like, it has a screen and letters, a keyboard, has an app on it. Yes, that's what it is. Oh, my grandson took that away. Oh, can I get his number? And I won't repeat what I said, but...
Yes, it is 770. Go we'll let you guess the rest.
So, anyways, hopefully they don't call here again. I feel I'm probably going to get more phone calls from them now. I
certainly hope so, because that would be much fun.
So, but if that ever happens to you, just tell them to sit on it, as the Fonz would say. Hey! But coming up next, we're going to talk about movies, I think, in our reel-to-reel segment. We're going to mix things up a little bit with the Oscars coming up, and there's a lot of big movie news, so we might talk about movies for a little bit longer this week. But after that, we have our first ever Q&A segment. A couple of people have sent us some questions, and the question of the week wins a free digital movie download, and that's something we're going to start doing from here on out. So every single week, someone will win a free digital download of a movie of your choice. Some of them are brand new releases.
Yeah.
Some are classic titles. So you never know. You might send us a question and win a free movie. We might, who knows, maybe we'll even give out a digital movie, maybe a DVD or a Blu-ray one day even. Yeah. So you got to send in those questions. Keep watching. Tell all your friends. So stay tuned. Reel to Reel is next. Welcome back. This is Reel to Reel, our movie talk segment, and
where Trey doesn't care.
Trey is
falling down.
What are you playing?
I am. Well, this is a video game, actually.
Oh, I see that.
It is Stick Hero. Stick Hero. Game of the week, folks. The app of the week is Stick Hero. Once again, we are not being promoted by them, but it is a fun, addicting, and annoying game all at once. So it's the perfect game for me.
Anyways, big news this week in movies is that Sony and Marvel have reached an agreement to let SpiderMan be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Yay! Alright, I'm done. Sorry.
You see what I have to put up with each and every week?
You love me, Braeden. It's alright.
It's true. I do.
Okay, you can stop that now.
Anyways, but it really is big news since the movie rights for various Marvel characters have been split up between Marvel Studios, Sony, and Fox. And
Sony's in trouble. They just sold SOE. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. And now it's, what is it, Daybreak, I think, is about it. And there's a very real possibility they might be killing my favorite MMO. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but...
But it's true. It's true. Sony financially is going through some hard times, which is why them giving, not necessarily giving Spider-Man back to Marvel, but working on an agreement with them is the absolute smartest thing they can do. Yeah. Because Marvel basically prints money. Mm-hmm. You put Marvel Studios on it,
you will get
and put it in that universe.
You will get money out the back end.
But the question though is, well, how do you establish the character in the Marvel universe? Because if you just say, here's a Spider-Man movie, the general public is going to still think Sony Spider-Man, not Marvel universe, which is why they've changed their plans, and the character will be introduced in Captain America 3, Civil War, which I think is the absolute best way to go. Now, what Spider-Man it is, who's playing the character, no idea. And they got to figure it out soon because the movie starts shooting in, I think, May.
Maybe so. I could be Spider-Man. You think I could do it? I could do it.
You could fit in the suit at least.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I
could play Blob from X-Men, but
so if you want me to play Spider-Man, write Marvel Pictures at I don't know what Marvel
# Trey and Spandex, and get it trending on Twitter, and hopefully Sony and Marvel will hire Trey Smith to be the next Spider-Man. But I think the consensus, and this was my thought, was they've already done Peter Parker twice with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And regardless of what you thought about either of them as Peter Parker, I think Peter Parker's done. I don't think doing a third Spider-Man with a Peter Parker character is a great idea. It can work, but it's been done so many times. And if they really want to make this Spider-Man stand out, go with Miles, and not just because he's half black, half Latino, but because it's different. It's a different character altogether, and it will better make him stand out. Plus, you finally put Donald Glover in the role, and then everyone will be happy, which, I mean, he would do great in the role.
Right, and, the interesting thing, and I didn't realize this, is that there are multiple people within different universes that play different characters. This is a different universe entirely for this Spider-Man. But that kind of blew my mind, and just thinking about it because
you're not really a comic book
No,
guy,
I'm not.
So you didn't realize there's probably like 100 different comic book universes within like Marvel and DC.
Right.
All these alternate storylines and everything else. And that's one of the things where movies don't necessarily take advantage of because you really can't.
It's kind of the confusion that you get with the whole Star Wars universe and how they had to
expanded stuff.
The expanded universe with all the novels and everything. I'm a big Star Wars novel fan, and they had to kind of kill that. But when I really think about it, it had just gotten into this big, huge, massive web of things that you just can't play with that with the movie.
Right.
Just
because with the movie, you're gonna, especially this kind of, you're paying $150, $200 million. A comic book doesn't cost that. You can do an alternate story, and it's not going to alienate an audience. It's not going to cost a lot of money if it flops. A movie, you run that risk.
Right.
So this is
that
the
can
perfect,
make or break your company.
Right. This is the perfect opportunity to establish a new character, a new Spider-Man, without having to worry about that because it is a new company. So I was against the Garfield reboot because it just felt too soon.
It did feel too soon.
And even though this is technically sooner, it's with it being a new company, a new universe. And potentially
hopefully
a new character.
A new universe.
Well, I think
Garfield's
out. Garfield's out.
Well, I know, but you get what I'm saying, though.
Right. Well, there hasn't really been one established.
Right.
So, because Sony's plan, and I think this is why the whole thing makes sense. Sony's plan to make a Spider-Man universe was a Sinister Six film, and then a movie about Aunt May. That was their plan, and it just
why
I know. So it just didn't. It really felt like they're grasping at straws. That's why just go with Marvel. Just work out your stuff.
Yeah.
Get it together, and they did. They they were smart. They looked at it and said, "This is what's going to work best. Let's just go ahead, split it. Still have creative control. Sony does still have creative control on Spider-Man, but now they've got Marvel there to say this is what would work best." And I think they're going to listen to them because Marvel
knows what they're doing at this point.
The number of times they've done something disappointing, you can count on probably 2 fingers.
Right.
If that.
I mean, if you want to count the first Hulk,
which even then was even before the real cinematic universe. Right. So that's kind of an outlier even then.
Yeah, it is. And Green Lantern.
That was DC. That's not Marvel.
Was that DC?
Yeah, that's
DC. That's DC, so it's not Marvel.
DC's track record is not nearly as strong as.
But in TV shows, they've done significantly
TV shows,
well.
And that was my.
Because you have Smallville and you have Arrow and now Flash. I haven't watched Flash. I love Arrow.
You've got Gotham as well,
Gotham?
which is slowly it's slowly getting to where I think it's one of those shows where once it gets into a groove, because Arrow was kind of the same way. Once it gets into that groove,
well, you could say that about Agents of
Agents
Shield.
Yeah, Agents Shield same way. It took time to get into the groove, and it's and that's one of the good things about TV. If it doesn't work at first, you can change and alter it, and you can make it work down the road. Which is my problem with the whole Justice League film is they've recast
so many
the TV characters, and it would make so much more sense because they don't have time to do what Marvel did, do an individual film for each one. Because they're playing catch up with Marvel.
Yeah.
If they established the characters on TV shows, and then brought them to the film, you've got all this universe, you have all this built-in fan base, and now you're kind of alienating that with the movie. Plus, not to mention, just throwing this out there, the TV stars are probably a lot cheaper than the movie stars they bring in to play the roles as well. But it brings more synergy to the brand, and it allows you to take advantage of those fan bases and the revenue that you're going to get.
I think it's a great move too because it's different from what Marvel is doing. You can grab more people to watch various different aspects, and we'll get Justice League.
But they're not doing it though.
Why?
I don't know. They're like I said, they're replacing the TV actors with different actors.
That doesn't make sense to me.
If it was one thing if it was a show that was canceled or wasn't around anymore,
right.
But it's an ongoing show, and you would think.
Yeah, but the Arrow character, I can't see that be anybody else except for the actor that plays him,
right?
Because it's.
Well, I don't think Arrow's going to be part right now, at least. But
that's the best show that is out right now.
There was one talk of one character. I can't remember if it's on Arrow or if it's on Flash, but of him possibly being Green Lantern. So because there's a ton of different Green Lanterns, which would be like the one case of them bridging the gap, which they need to do because Marvel hasn't penetrated TV like DC has, and DC needs to take advantage of that. Like I said, penetrated.
Yeah, you said it.
Anyways, but regardless, there's really exciting stuff going on, and the fact that Marvel has pushed back 4 of their films
to push in.
They've pushed their, like, if the film's coming out in May, they pushed it to November. If it's in November, they pushed it to the following May to make room for a standalone Spider-Man film, which tells me they're taking it deadly seriously. So, because they're not ones to necessarily move those dates around.
No.
Not unless it's a very good reason.
Yeah, which means that Avengers. What would it be?
Avengers isn't moving. It's going to be after.
What I mean is, will
but
Spider-Man join Avengers?
But it certainly could have effect on that, since Spider-Man was a pretty important part of the Avengers in the comic books. So, and it does sound like that's going to kind of happen here. I'm just glad it looks like we're not going to get an origin story if he's going to be in Captain America 3 first. It sounds like we're not getting an origin story.
But I'm okay with that.
Good. Oh, yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine with that. We've seen it twice already. We don't need to see it again. I'd rather it be where you don't have, it's like Thor wasn't really an origin story so much. Mm-mm. He was already kind of it was a coming of age tale for him, but he was established as having powers and everything else. So, something like that.
It wasn't like he was learning how to be a hero. He was already,
it was him growing up.
Right.
So I'm perfectly fine not seeing the origin story, and I don't think they're going to do it, which, again, Marvel, they have a master plan, and they can change the master plan when they need to.
Do you think Natalie Portman's going to be back in a Marvel film?
Well, she wasn't in Avengers, but she did come back for the second Thor. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Because she's Thor's love interest.
There was talk about her walking out when they fired the first director for Thor 2.
Oh, really?
But she stuck around and did reshoots even. So I think she will. The money's good. They're not bad films.
No.
They're
enjoyable.
I wasn't a huge fan of the first Thor. I thought the second Thor balanced it out better with the comedy, and
I haven't yet seen the second Thor.
It's good. I liked it. Because the first one was too much fish out of water comedy, and it's just been done so many times. Yeah. The second one felt more natural. It felt like the chemistry was finally there. Like the first one was kind of working through the kinks, and then the second one kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
No hammer pun intended.
Right. And there's a new Iron Man that's about to come out too.
Well, sort of. Because you've got Captain America 3 that's going to have Iron Man. Because Captain America 3 Civil War is Iron Man versus Captain America. And then Spider-Man's somewhere in there. So there was rumors about Iron Man 4, but it's nothing confirmed. So
I see.
Well, I think there probably will be an Iron Man 4 just because it's made so much money.
What about Iron Man 3? Iron Man 3 hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, it came out like 2 years ago. It's the one Shane Black directed.
No. There's... Maybe it's the next Avengers is what I'm thinking.
There's going to be... Well, the second Avengers movie comes out in May. Age of Ultron. And then after that, you have...
That's probably what I'm thinking.
And then you have Infinity Ward. Infinity Ward was a video game company. Infinity War, I think it's called. Parts 1 and 2. Which will probably be directed by...
Is that for the Infinity Gauntlet?
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like.
Which I saw at they've already developed the look for it because I saw it at New York Comic Con years ago.
Well, it actually was in the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
There was it was more of an Easter egg type thing, but it was so. But yeah, it's in there, and there's been all sorts of promotional images, Josh Brolin and the Gauntlet and everything else. But apparently, it's looking like Joss Whedon isn't going to direct the Infinity War movies. And it looks like it's going to be the Russo brothers, who did Captain America 2 and are doing Captain America 3. Which, to be two guys who got their start on sitcoms, Captain America 2 was way better than it should have been. Which is one thing I like about Marvel. They look at, not necessarily the directors like, oh yeah, they do great in here, but they look at someone who they say, you know what? This is something different. We can put them in here and see what they do. Which is why you give someone like Kenneth Branagh, who does Shakespeare, a Thor movie. So.
But it makes sense because Thor is sort of that old guard sort of thing. Right. So the feel is there. The director knows how to use that sort of style, but it still has Marvel all over it because the Marvel producers know what Marvel needs to do to make a Marvel movie. Yeah.
It's like giving Shane Black Iron Man 3. Mm-hmm. It was like, well, his last movie, he directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. Great movie, not an Iron Man film. But then you watch Iron Man 3, and it's a great movie. It's a lot better than Iron Man 2, but it still feels like a Shane Black film. It has his personal touch on it, and so it makes it stand out a little bit more. It's very, very enjoyable. But now that we've gone on about superhero films.
Yeah, superhero films. Where are we going to go now, Braeden?
That's an excellent question. I mean, but superheroes are kind of
that's
the thing
right
even
now.
Even locally. Ant-Man just shot here. Captain America 3 is going to shoot here. I don't even know.
I saw the first Ant-Man trailer when
Yes.
I went and saw Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending was not very good. It made me want to go read the book. It did do that.
Well, at least there's that.
And I think it's because they were trying to put so much into this movie. I wish
How
if they
long was
had
it?
split. Oh, it's like 2 hours.
Only 2 hours?
No, it's a little over 2 hours.
I was like, because Cloud Atlas was like 250 something.
I mean, I'd rather them have lengthened it and actually got it a little bit because at the beginning and.
But then you had to sit through it longer.
Well, well, if they had put it together, see, okay, here's my problem that I had with Jupiter Ascending, and this kind of was the telltale thing of what my fiance was saying. I generally can catch on to things and read through the lines and stuff, so I didn't necessarily get confused. But reviews that I read about it before I went to see the film, and what my fiance said as we were heading out, she's like, the first part of the movie, like the first 30 minutes, I just didn't know what was going on. It was very confusing. And I had to say, well, yeah, if you aren't really seriously paying attention, you don't know what the hell is going on. And it's because they are trying to set up so much. They're trying to develop the characters because the storyline takes place and there's so much action that you kind of need to know who the characters are at the very beginning. And they did not do a very good job of establishing who these people were. If they had been able to split the movie up into 2 sections and have played out the whole first part, I think that would have been better, but I don't think that they could have done it in a movie form. I think that is something that should not have touched. They were just trying to grab onto the franchise of a very popular book series. They just needed to have kept it as a book series, or if they wanted to do something on film, make a TV show out of it, because it would have been so much better as a HBO style TV show, because they would have been able to show a lot more, and they had some
or even sci-fi these days, because sci-fi is starting to do some
You're right.
decent work.
You have like Warehouse 13, which was pretty good. I only watched the first couple seasons of that, but it was pretty good.
They just started. There's like a Helix, and they just started a 12 Monkeys series based on the film. So TV, they're talking about the golden age of TV, but honestly, we're kind of in a golden age now.
Yeah.
And so you're probably right, especially with it being so intricate. It probably would have been better as
would have been able to tell the story so much.
If
better.
not a TV series, a mini series at the very least. So, but that's kind of
like. I've started Marco Polo. That's another thing that happened this past weekend. Is I started watching Marco Polo, which is a Netflix series, and
good.
Oh, it is good. Have you seen it?
I haven't heard that many good things about it. So
really?
I haven't watched it. Yeah.
What have you heard? Just that it was.
It's just not very good. I mean, just that it's not it's not entertaining. That the writing's not very good. I don't personally know. That's just what I've heard. And when dedicating time to a TV series, it takes me a while to watch a series. Because I've just got so much other stuff. It took me forever to start House of Cards, which starts back. I
haven't watched the second season. I need to do that.
You need to do that.
But I think people are comparing it to what Netflix has put out with the amazing writing, which, like House of Cards, because that's all dialogue.
Yeah.
And the way that it's written and put together, and Kevin Spacey makes that show. You also have Blacklist that just came out, which is a very amazing, intricate story.
Well, that's not a Netflix.
No, it's not, but it's a similar style.
Blacklist is a great show.
Right. But when you compare Marco Polo to it, it's different. I think the reason why people don't like the writing is because it is done in a style that is more oriental. Because there's so much subtlety, and I had this conversation with my mom because she was watching the series. There's so much subtlety that if you're not paying attention, you will miss something that happens in that. But you have to understand from a cultural standpoint with oriental cultures is it's all about subtle movements. I forget the Hofstede way of explaining it, but it's so much more about the gestures and the minute details of things, and it's very passive. It's not the direct Western culture, gonna tell you how it is, America sort of thing. And I think that as far as the way that Marco Polo did it, I think they captured it, because the Latins, like they say in the show, have that sort of brazen, tell it as it is, and that's what makes Marco Polo so different compared to the con, because Marco Polo is telling it how he sees it, how it is, and that's why the Khan likes him. Whereas all the other characters in the majority of the show is all this subtlety and intrigue and everything. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to lose it. And it's one of those cerebral, mental things. That's why I like it, because I love things that are like that. Kind of like, and you know, I'm pulling, I'm comparing, you know, oranges to apples here, but kind of like Interstellar. Every single little thing had something to do, and if you weren't paying attention in that movie, you were going to lose so much of what that movie really was about, which was, you know, I mean, it blew my mind when I saw it, because there's every single little piece. It doesn't matter what was going on, from the way that the set was set up to different pieces of it and things that happened, all came full circle, and everything had a meaning. And that was really, really cool to be able to pick up on.
Well, you may have convinced me. I might give it a look. What do you think? Is Marco Polo any good? Let us know. theculturetest@gmail.com or in the comments below.
And send all your hate mail for Braeden of what you think about all the Marvel Avengers stuff that's going on, if you have any.
And I will personally
Not
retweet
reply.
those to Trey at Third Photos, and he will reply to each and every one of those. Coming up, more movie talk and a little bit of everything else after this commercial break.
Oh my God, please help me knee deep in the river trying to get clean. He says wash your hands, get out the stains, but you best believe, boy, there's hell to pay. Yeah, you best believe, boy, there's hell to pay. Saying, oh my God, please help me waist deep in the river. Can you hear my plea? He says, son, you come like a beggar in the street. You might make it, boy, but by the skin of your teeth. You might make it, boy, but by the skin of your teeth. Saying, I'll rebel with the worst of them.
Welcome back. If you don't know what that was the trailer for Finding Jimmy Bhava, a gangster film written and directed by yours truly. Camera work courtesy of Trey Smith.
This is my first time using a glide cam, so please don't shoot me. It was a lot of fun, but I definitely have a lot to learn before I'm ready to really seriously use it.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for the film. It'll hopefully be at a couple of film festivals, but this one, because it's more of an experiment type film with new techniques, might end up just going online.
Yeah.
But be on the lookout for it. Some really good performances. I'm quite
We
happy.
got some great actors in it. We actually this was the first time we actually got to use what I would call pro level equipment, and actually had a set and everything.
And catering. We had catering.
We had catering. It felt so much more put together. It was a lot more organized than anything else that we have done together before, because we had the time to do it.
Yeah, we had the time for me to schedule everything and kind of set up everything and have meetings and discussions, talk to actors about character motivation, things of that sort. Believe it or not, what you see
great
here,
young actors.
Oh yeah, very great young actors.
Or older actors.
Yeah, we
too.
had a fantastic older actor as well who was just an absolute joy to work with.
Really cool guy.
So yeah, Rick Light, great. He's on Shark Tank. His voice is on Shark Tank.
Is
in
he
one
now?
episode. Yeah, his wife was on the show.
Oh, okay.
Got a deal with yeah. So
Oh, great.
yeah. So
That's
very
cool.
very very talented family there.
And the we have some music score stuff and everything.
Yeah, we got original score. We've got just really cool looking location. Just it looks pretty good.
I like
I'm
the way
pretty
that
happy
we
it.
have the washed out style of lighting. It turned out really neat. Maybe we'll throw up a couple. Well, you just watched the trailer.
So that's basically what we've got. Those are the best shots of the of the film, minus like the ending shots, which I was quite happy with as well.
This turned out good.
Cool. So yeah, your camera work was spot on there. I must say.
Well,
Since I was driving the car, I couldn't exactly man the camera, But yeah, so we have our Q&A section every week. We ask pop culture questions. But if you have any questions relating to filmmaking, acting, photography, anything like that, we'll be more than happy to answer those as well.
Absolutely.
Because we love talking about ourselves and what we do.
And kind of going back to last week, our kind of little gag that we had with all the cameras and everything. Should we explain the real reason behind all that?
we probably should. If you watched last week all the way to the end and you saw the fading in and out, him talking about the pinhole camera and then all the cameras, I took the equipment to Trey's house assuming that we were going to use his camera, which we did. He thought we were going to use all of my equipment, including my camera. So he didn't charge his battery.
Yeah, and I only have one battery because I only do still stuff. I don't necessarily do film, so I don't have it running the whole time.
So basically, we only have a few minutes and we need to film a wrap up. So it's like, you know what? Let's just go the comedic route and just do something a little silly. And I think it actually worked out pretty well. I think it was kind of entertaining.
And it kind of ended, and I know our pieces are a little bit longer. So I think it ended up still being around 50 minutes. So it turned out all right.
Yeah, it actually worked out okay. And the two best things about that episode were A, the ending, and B, the little kitten things.
Yeah.
And those only came because we ran out of battery and couldn't film the segment.
And I needed to get moving up to Athens.
Yeah,
So yeah.
So although we were talking about working on the film and being organized, it's the opposite of this, which is more, free-flowing
Yeah,
ideas.
we're just kind of doing this as a fun thing for both of us, something to do.
And hopefully you enjoy it and get some sort of entertainment value, maybe educational value even.
Yeah, and what I was saying all about those cameras, and those all those cameras that I did have, those are all my cameras, and I actually, all but two, I use on a regular basis if I'm filming, so...
Should I just start grabbing my cameras?
No. I mean, you have some TLRs, and I would really love to play around with some TLRs, because that'd be a lot of fun. But, no, but I really do shoot with my Pentax. That's the film camera I use. That big, huge pinhole was actually a school project that I did over the summer, and that is an actual camera that I use. Mm-hmm. And, I shoot Nikon. So, digitally, I have a D5200. That kind of gives you the realm of things of where I play with. But I love my film camera just because of the lenses that I have for it. But enough of that. I went into that a lot last week, so I don't need to get back onto that
and just going
track.
On and on and on and on and on. I said we're continuing reel-to-reel, but I also said we're kind of mixing up the format a little bit because we have an upcoming new segment that we're going to answer some questions. But the big thing coming up, and it's a little weird, the timing of it, because we post the episodes on Monday, but we record them Thursday or Friday. So if we were to do this next week, the episode would come out after...
It'd be too late.
It would come out after the Academy Awards, and we'd just look like, I don't know. So we're going to talk a little bit about Oscar predictions. Not a lot, but just kind of general thoughts on some of the bigger awards. Frankly, I don't think it's much of a contest for Best Director. Best Picture is probably a little tighter.
Best Director is going to be Boyhood.
Yeah. Richard Linklater is going to win Best Director, and if he doesn't, it's an absolute travesty. Now, Best Picture, I would say normally...
It's up in the air.
Normally I would say, it's going to be Boyhood because he's getting Best Director, because in the past they've been like that, the two awards. The past, I think, 2 years...
They've kind of split them up.
They've split them up. It's happened before, and in the past 2 years it's happened because... bless you.
Excuse me.
Because Ang Lee won Best Director, but then for Life of Pi, but then 12 years... wait, no.
Is it 12 years?
Yeah, wait, no. No, because then what?
Fiance wants to go see 50 Shades of Grey. That's all we have to say about that.
Yeah, that's all there is to say. Argo. I don't know how I forgot that. Argo.
Oh, yeah!
Because Ben Affleck wasn't even nominated for Best Director. So, yeah, I don't know how I forgot that.
Argo
was great. I loved Argo.
That was good.
So I'm not sure how I forgot that. But,
because that came out when I was going to Germany. Because I think I watched it on the plane.
Possibly. But yeah, so Argo's great, but then Ben Affleck, I think he won the Golden Globe Best Director, but wasn't even nominated by the Academy.
And we had discussions in that driving all over the place down at school.
We talked about it. 'Cause I was like, can you believe that? Because Argo is such a great movie, and like not even a nomination. But yeah, so that happened last year. It happened again. So this year you could have Richard Linklater getting Best Director, and then maybe Birdman winning Best Picture.
Do you think Birdman would do it, or do you think that Grand Budapest Hotel has a?
Since Grand Budapest since it's a comedy, comedies don't do as well
in the Academy. Yeah.
So I think it's.
I hope it gets.
I think it has a better chance than a lot of the other films that are nominated, even the serious ones.
Yeah.
I would put it probably third most likely. I think first most likely is still Boyhood, but I think it's going to be close between that and Birdman.
I still need to see Birdman and Boyhood.
I know. Boyhood is phenomenal. That's the only way I can describe it. It reminds me of Harry Potter, which sounds bizarre because it's nothing like Harry Potter at all. But in following a character over several years, in the same way you watch the kids in Harry Potter. Yeah. Plus, Harry Potter is referenced a lot in Boyhood. Is it? Because it's such a. I mean, we're close to that same age.
It is.
It's such a huge part of our childhood.
It is. I'm actually rereading Harry Potter right now.
That's irrelevant.
I'm looking forward to the new Harry Potter film that takes place like 100 years prior. I think it's going to be interesting to see the Wizarding universe 100 years prior.
Have you read the?
I haven't, but
it's a textbook.
I know it is, but it's the guy writing the textbook as he's going through. Yeah. I think it's an interesting concept, and I think it has potential to do really well because J.K. Rowling has been such an integral part of it, and she's like helped write the script. She's helping with the production.
It's such a weird thing because it's an adaptation, but it's not, which I think hurts it and helps it because then it's like anything goes.
But I think
as long as the character,
but
the creature
to keep
designs,
the Harry Potter universe alive, if they do it right, it has the potential to be very, very, very good.
That's why, like I said, I think.
But it scares me too because they could ruin it so easily.
Like I said, but they do have creative freedom story wise to do anything and everything. Yeah. Because it's not a case of this is going to happen because it's in the book. The book is just
they don't have to adjust it around like they did for Half-Blood Prince, which made me want to strangle some folks because they ruined the absolute most integral part of the book and changed it in a way that really it rubbed me the wrong way as a Harry Potter fan. But I can understand it from a film point of view that it would have been very difficult to do it otherwise.
So Prisoner of Azkaban. When I saw the film in theaters because it came out on my birthday, so it made a big thing. Me and my friends going to go see it, and I didn't like the film very much. Because it was so different from the book. Watching it now as a filmmaker, I'm like, this is the best one. It's just filmically, it just works beautifully. It's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who did Gravity and Children of Men. So why he did a Harry Potter film, I don't know. But as a film, it works perfectly. But as a book fan at the time, I was like, no, this is out of order. This didn't happen here, and this character doesn't do this.
And speaking out of order, we've gone from Grammy talk all the way into talking about all the Harry Potter stuff. So
Oscar talk.
We've
never talked about the Grammys. We can talk about the Grammys if we want.
We can mention the Grammys and that Kanye West is
still irrelevant.
Should we jump into a couple of the questions that we had?
I think we should. So coming up is a Q&A segment where you ask the Qs, we give the As. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Lakeshire Haunted Barn.
All right, welcome back. That trailer was for a short film called The Family That Prays.
Please go vote for him. Yes. Maybe he'll give me a cut of the profits. I don't know.
It was part of the Atlanta 48-hour film horror project where teams have 48 hours to write, shoot, edit an entire short film in the horror genre. Right? It was Blackflight Studios that created it. You can vote for it, the Horror Block Film Fest. Winning team gets $10,000. I acted in it. I play a cannibal killer clown, so you can enjoy that wonderful performance.
You and killers.
I play it. Yeah, I've done a couple of films, and they're all horror movies with me playing serial killers. So go figure. I did some camera work on it. I did lighting. I did general PA work. I did a lot of stuff on it. So please go vote. It lets them do more projects, including feature films. They actually have a feature-length horror film coming out very soon. They're getting distribution for. We might even have the director, Joseph Lavender, on the show to talk about it.
Which would be awesome.
And talk to him about distributing films because he's had another feature film distributed already.
And moving on, but now we're going to move into our last segment. We're kind of going to wrap up. But this week, we're going to wrap up with some questions that you guys asked us.
Yes, you out in internet land. It's like Candyland, but a few more cables. So our first question this week comes from Movie Dork.
And not candy cables.
Who asks, Do you think there are too many award shows? With an award show seemingly every week during award season, doesn't that dilute the honor of receiving one of the major awards, such as the Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, etc.? Very good question, Movie Dork. And I don't think it necessarily does.
No.
Because they're not as widespread. Mm-hmm. If they got the same coverage or prestige, because really the only ones are the Oscars and Golden Globes for movies.
Right.
You have the Emmys, which are kind of by themselves, and the Grammys are kind of by themselves.
Yeah.
You have like MTV Awards.
Yeah,
like
but
but they're on a complete separate
right. I put
plane.
MTV Awards in the same thing as the Kid Choice Awards that they do for Nickelodeon, and then you also have the Tonys, which we didn't even mention, which is for stage.
And I think it's more in reference to stuff like the Producers Guild Award, Directors Guild Award, the BAFTAs. But you have to remember these are organizations recognizing the people who are part of them. So I don't think it necessarily dilutes them because they've been going on for a while. It's just we're now more aware of them. Yeah. Because now you can actually watch them on TV and watch them online.
For example, you also have the World Cup that is shown in more and more popularity every 4 years in the States, just because we are able to broadcast them and have all the infrastructure that ESPN puts into it and all these sort of things to actually bring those sort of shows, even though they weren't necessarily the most popular things. But now it's very popular to go and watch all the different World Cup games. Yeah. I think it's similar to that. Yeah. It's just
I think if they were on the same level, it would. Yeah. But because you have a main one and then you have the different guilds and organizations, it keeps the balance.
It staggers it out.
Yeah. All right. Next question: who is a better actor, Nicolas Cage or Johnny Depp? And that question comes from Scarface32.
Nicolas Cage.
Johnny Depp.
So we're kind of split down the middle. He kind of had a good argument earlier.
Yeah, we actually were talking about this. I was going over the questions, just saying, yeah, these are the ones we got. So we figure out what was question of the week, and I was like, yeah, this question's so obvious. And I think I said Johnny Depp the exact same time he said Nicolas Cage. It's like, really? But yeah. So what was your reasoning for
Nicolas Cage? Just because that he's been in so many different things, he's done a lot of different stuff. And he's been in really, 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 really good stuff, and he's been in really, 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 really bad stuff. If you don't get this reference, I'm referencing the chart that's on Reddit of Nicolas Cage films. That in my mind, that's what I'm thinking of.
And see, for me, Johnny Depp, Nicolas Cage is always playing Nicolas Cage to me. And sometimes that works great. You have a film like Raising Arizona, for example. It's fantastic. And some stuff he dials it down. Like I really like the National Treasure films. They're not like amazing films.
One.
I like the second one, though. Not near as much as the first one, but very enjoyable films. But he tends to be Nicolas Cage and everything. Johnny Depp, I think, has more range, and he tends to be more consistent. He makes bad choices in what movies he plays in, I think, but I think part of that has to do with working with Tim Burton a lot. Tim Burton likes to put him with Disney a lot now. But looking back in his career, the way he gets into the character, I think he's probably a better actor in getting into those roles.
Sleepy Hollow, he did an amazing job. That's probably one of my favorite films that he's done. Oh, yeah. Just because it's so different.
That being said, Nicolas Cage is the one with the Oscar, though. Yep. So that kind of goes, But again, because that was a role where being Nicolas Cage worked beautifully. So if Johnny Depp can find a similar role to throw himself into.
See, I was hoping that Jack Sparrow would have done something, because he did so well as a Jack Sparrow.
Right. Well, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's absolutely brilliant. And I really like his similar character, because it's all basically Hunter S. Thompson and Rumdari. Not nearly as good of a movie, but he was solid in it. But he obviously does the really weird characters as well, and does a good job with them.
Scissorhands.
Yeah, I mean, so you look, he does have quite a range. Which it goes a long way as being an actor. Now, our question of the week. This is the one that will win a free digital movie. So, please email us at theculturetest@gmail.com to receive your prize. And the question is...
It's from Why So Blue.
If you were tasked with remaking one of Quentin Tarantino's movies, which one would you choose, and what would you change to make it your own? Wow.
And the reason we ended up choosing this is because it stumped both of us, because we both have a lot of respect for Quentin Tarantino. Like, Kill Bill is just phenomenal.
If you look over Trey's shoulder, you can see I have a few Kill Bill and Reservoir Dogs action figures. I actually have a Quentin Tarantino action figure on my wall back over there. But it's one of those questions because his films are so his. He is one of the kind of the last auteurs to really come in recent years. and you can't remake those films. So it's like, how could you do it? What could you even do to make it your own? Because they're so his. So for me, I look at, well, what can you do in the genre and make it different? And which he's already done himself. Look at Django. It's a Western, but it's really not.
Right.
I mean, he combines all these genres so well. So for me, if I was going to remake one that I thought I could do something different, it would probably be Inglourious Bastards, which is a great film. I think it's one of his more underrated films. But I would do it because his films are very talky, which is great. That's one of the reasons why we love Tarantino films. But I think it's one that you could also do in a more Magnificent Seven type style, where it's more action oriented.
Great Escape.
Yeah, you have this team of badasses, for lack of a better term, who go kill Nazis. The trailer made it look more like that.
Yeah, it did.
Which I think is why some people were disappointed in the film, because they thought it would be that.
But
type
it's Quentin Tarantino that made the film,
right?
So you gotta expect it.
Right.
As, yeah.
So maybe more of that type of film. That would be what I would do with it. So I guess it would be closer to the original Inglourious Bastards, which even though it's not technically a remake, it took name inspiration from the film. But I think that would be my best course of action with trying to do something.
And so there you go.
Well, what about you? Do you have
For me, no.
Just no, not even try.
I can't even try. I have so much respect for him, but I have not watched enough of his filmography to even go that route. And I'm not a director either.
In so many of his films, they're not remakes, but they're a reimagining of ideas. Whether it's Django Unchained is a reimagining of the Franco Nero character Django. Kill Bill reimagines quite a few of the samurai films and even a few westerns. It just goes on and on and on. Pulp Fiction takes a lot of inspiration from a lot of the films he grew up watching and he enjoyed. Reservoir Dogs as well. His production company is named after a film, A Band Apart. So I mean, so his films, they're not remakes, but they're reimagining. So you'd almost have to do the same thing with his films, as reimagine them. So congrats, Why So Blue? You gave us one that we really had to think about and just make it go, man.
And I don't even want to attempt it. I'm too scared. So
you scared Trey, and if you scared Trey, that's good enough in my book to have the question of the week. So email us at theculturetest@gmail.com.
And send your hate mail to Braeden if you disagree with his choice of Inglourious Bastards, and he will forward it on to me, apparently.
I'll only do it if they promise to pay me millions and millions of dollars. I'm solely in it for the money, not for the art.
Sounds good.
So email us. We'll get you your prize as soon as possible. And until next time, just keep watching. Check out our other videos.
And send us more questions.
Send us more questions. We're going to give away a free movie every single week from here on out, as long as you guys keep watching and Trey keeps showing up to my house unexpectedly.
Or you show up to my house expectedly.
Well, I'll do that regardless of if we're filming or not.
Okay. Sounds good.
I know where you sleep.
No, you don't.
So until next time, I'm Braeden Orr.
I'm Trey Smith.
This is The Culture. Forget it. I'm done. Yeah. You know what? I don't even know why we do this anymore.